Welcome back, everyone. Episode 9. And we are calling this one The Blind Batanga.
That's not what we're calling it. That's
Actually,
what you
yes.
called it.
No, that's what we're calling it, is The Blind Batanga, because Jay is now testing out his waters of whether or not he can tell which one has El Tesoro in it.
El Tesoro is horrible. I don't care how you try and mix it up here, but this is good.
Well, we shall see. One of these has El Tesoro in it.
All right. And what are the other three? So just so I know, what am I working with here? Tesoro. I'm sure there's a El Tec here.
Yeah, there is an El Tequileno.
And I'm sure there's a G4.
No. You have a Cimarron.
I really thought you loved me.
And there is a Siempre Plata.
So there's no G4.
No G4.
There's El Tec. Okay.
And you like right. we were drinking Cimarron at the party the other night.
See, this is good. Okay, and we'll talk about the party just to get it out the way. Okay, you intro it because you were there, and I chose to do the wise thing. So tell me about it.
First of all, we had several parties this week, and I was talking about the party at our buddy's house.
Oh, that's right, Friday night.
Mr. Dave Kelly. Shout out to Dave Kelly.
My man, Dave Kelly.
Yep, a legend in the Las Vegas gentleman's world.
He is, man.
Now, our friend turns, I don't know how old he is, but his birthday's
He's got to be 50.
Something like that. And his birthday's in April, and he always has a little cocktail party, and he's kind of learned a little bit about the tequila world, and his girlfriend works for a distributor, and so she actually brought him a really nice bottle of Lalo. But then I brought a bottle of Cimarron. Shout out to Cimarron, full 1 liter bottle. I mean, I think they're $28 at Total Wine.
Yeah, we're around 30 bucks
at a mom and pop store. But that's what we were drinking Batangas on Friday night.
Really good. They were really good.
And they were Coke Zero Batangas because I can't do all the sugar. And I couldn't tell the
Coke Zero Batangas.
I couldn't tell the difference with all the lime and the salt in it.
You can't tell the difference. My mom and I got into an argument this morning over Coke and Coke Zero. I said, try Coke Zero. She said, it can't taste the same. I said, it can.
It tastes, don't get me wrong. I like a sugary Coke once in a blue moon.
That's fair.
You know, like when we were in Mexico. All right, let's have we're at La Capilla. We had the actual,
the real thing.
Real deal.
The real thing.
But I think, if you're trying to avoid the calories and you like tequila, but you don't like to sip it.
Yeah.
You want a cocktail I'm telling you right now, that Coke Zero with the lime and the salt.
Love it.
You can't go wrong.
Love it.
So, but then, and then Saturday we all ventured down to SoCal for a tequila tasting event. You ended up, because you're not much of a sipper, so you just caught a movie.
It wasn't worth the money.
I drank.
Go there, and I would get all tequila of it and give it to you too.
Anytime you get to drink good tequila, it's always worth the money.
So this is my thing. And when you guys got back to the hotel and we were talking about it, and you talked to me about starting it off drinking water, I said at that point, and my question to you guys is there a point where people take it too far? They take the social lubricant, fun, we drink tequila, sit around and talk. Can people take it too far? And I think too far is when you are tasting water. It's too far.
If you think about it, though, you're tasting all the waters that get input into the tequila.
Yes, that's fair.
So you're actually sampling what it is before the tequila's made.
Is that too far? Is it too far down a rabbit hole from where we
I don't think so.
Like to sit?
I don't think so.
First of all, here I'll say this. I enjoyed at first I was like, water. Like I should have had a drink before I left this hotel.
So glad I went to the movie.
But I thought to myself, and I looked at Matt and I said, Jay would have been like, and I'm out. He would have been pouring everything into a cup with a Coke in it.
Oh, come on.
But here's what I think. I think that shout out to LA Tequila Club because
I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, they're good people. And I think what they're trying to do is
Pepe and Alejandra.
Yeah, they're really nice people. They put on a really good event. We saw some folks there that were also at the G4 here that Tommy had about a month and a half ago. But I think they were just trying to do something a little out of the box, and I always celebrate things that are out of the box.
That's fair.
So, when they're like, oh, we're going to spend an hour talking about water, I'm like, I don't think it's going to work. And sure enough, I think it was like 20, 30 minutes in, we'd done everything. Everyone's like, let's drink tequila. The second people started drinking tequila, how loud did it get in that little tiny, I think we were in like an art studio or something, and kind of like upper
was a little-
central Los Angeles.
How
Little,
many people
little storefront. Probably about 40-ish.
Yeah. But dude, the tequila, we started sipping tequila.
What gnome? Was it a gnome or was it?
So it
across the board?
was all out of El Pandillo.
Yeah, all your
Um,
G4 stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
G4s again that you cannot get anywhere other than the few select bottles that are out there.
Okay, that's fair.
The General Tequila was part of it. Don Vincent, which is also out of El Pandillo. Several G4 expressions, and then there was one.
Is it a general? No.
It was a smaller bottle, and I can't remember the name of it, which I've never.
Same gnome, no, same.
Yeah, everything was out of G4.
Okay.
I will say this too, Matt, and I don't know about you, and I'll let you give your thoughts on this. But they tricked us. They're
They did.
like, tell us if you can spot the celebrity tequila. So immediately I'm on like I'm
High alert.
I'm
Yeah.
on high alert. So I'm looking at I'm swirling, I'm looking at the legs. I'm like, is it dropped good enough? And a couple of them I'm like, that's a good one. And sure enough, it was one that I'd had and I recognized it and I love it. I know some Valons
Mm-hmm.
and some Peralta.
Yep.
Which are amazing tequilas. And but then there's one I'm like, I'm sus, bro.
You like, this is it?
No cap. I was like suddenly turned into a millennial.
I was
You know,
about to say, you're a Generation
And-
Z
and
now?
it was
Like
so
when you just see him
smooth.
going like this, and he's like, "No, man, there's something wrong with this.
Yeah, I'm
There's
like-
something wrong with it."
and I'm drinking it, and it was so smooth. There was no punch. I'm like, this is it. This is the. And I said, this is it. This is the celebrity tequila, and it wasn't.
And the only thing they said about celebrity is that Felipe was the only
Yeah.
celebrity.
And they said we tricked you. The only celebrity here is Felipe Camarena.
Nice.
Yeah,
That
so they
is
got
a good-
us. Not one bullshit tequila in that whole. And I was still like, I wanted to like it, but so it's like, hey, look, you know what? When you do these blind tastings, and all of a sudden someone's like, I'm a tequila sommelier. You know what? Slow down.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean when I say some people take it too far.
Well, and
We're here to have fun
And
and
I'll
be
also-
together and do those things.
I'll
Yeah.
also say this: if I had a tequila tasting, like if we had one here at the house or at my place, or we had like a group of friends, I don't think I'd want to highlight more than 4, because I do believe you get. I think your taste buds get a little overwhelmed after like 4 or 5 different like I would only do a blanco or a repo. Like, hey,
Okay.
like let's just sample, or maybe 5, where I do 4 really good blanco tequilas. I'd have like a G4, a Fortaleza. I'd maybe put in, maybe a Tapatio, and then maybe a still strength to punch, and then I'd put like a celebrity, and just so people catch that, like, oh, there's clearly a difference. But I think if you start going like, there's a lot of tequilas to sample.
Well, I saw the page that you brought back.
I'm drinking your half.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a ton of stuff.
yeah, a lot of data.
Yeah,
But I enjoyed it.
exactly.
We had, and towards the end, it's like everyone's just drinking. Like we're barely able to keep notes, and everyone's talking, and you could tell the social lubricant was in full effect.
See, that's the
And
part
it was
I like.
fun. It was a lot of fun. So that
I
part,
would have come for the last 30 minutes.
dude, if you'd have showed up for the last 40 minutes, you would have had a blast. Or just got there and 1 hour left. All right, perfect. And as soon as we started drinking tequila, and then just poured it in like a Coke.
He would have walked to the back room where the after cocktails were, and he would have been like, "Hey, can I get one of those?
That's
Can I get
exactly
one
what I
of
was
Can we
saying.
shout out? What was that bartender's name? I got it on my phone. Stand by.
And I did that. So I went to see a good movie, World War II movie, off a true story,
It's
Gentleman
Fonz, I
League.
believe.
Yeah.
And they had a good mixed drink. There was one of those high end.
Yeah.
You're in a lounger. I had crab cakes,
Nice.
and I was like, God, I'm so glad I'm not tasting water. That was the highlight.
This guy in his wall."
I know. So, anyways, back that LA Tequila Club and their tequila event. They had a great bartender, a guy named Alfonso on Instagram, drinks.with.fonz, Fonz. And if you're in the LA area, he's a mobile bartender. I think he did a great job. He had G4 with like a cucumber lemon or limeade.
It was something cucumber.
Yeah, cucumber. And then he did to offset the second alcohol was elderberry. So like a Saint Germain.
Got it.
Really refreshing. You,
Very refreshing.
dude,
Very
in the summer,
summertimey.
yeah, in
Very
the summertime at the
summertimey.
pool, you'd be crushing them.
Oh,
We'd be carrying you out.
whatever.
Right? To each their own.
Yeah, we've all been carried out before.
Yeah, drinks with fawns. Cheers
Drinks
to you,
with
sir.
fawns.
You made a great cocktail that night.
So straight mobile, no bar, home bar.
I don't know. He might have one. It might be on his website.
Got it.
If you're in the LA area and you're listening, and you need a rock star bartender,
All right, Matt. So what are we doing here?
So,
Did you steal these from our trip to Mexico?
no.
Where'd you get them?
Those were given to us by Jose from Zapata's
Roger that. Okay.
over on the north end of town here. It's Craig and 15.
Viva Zapatas.
That's good.
Great restaurant. Good. Probably 4 or 5 selections of additive free tequila there.
That's good. Let's see, you've got the rocks. All right. So how are we doing this, brother? So we can see what's what.
So let's start with D first.
Coming this one?
Nope, to the far
All
right.
right.
Drum roll. He's going to end up hating everyone.
No, it's light, maybe a little watered down. I have to get to the second drink first. That's good. Maybe watered down from the ice, but it's not horrible.
I mean, it's been sitting for a few minutes, so probably a little bit.
Okay. Now, what are my options?
So, El Tequiléno, which is the normal way Batangas are made. Then you have El Tesoro.
That's terrible. C.
Okay.
That's,
You have Siempre Plata.
Barely even took a sip of that.
didn't have to.
What if
And
that
then you
was
have-
rainwater that you were getting?
Yeah.
I bought. I have some Siempre at home. I'm not getting that one next. Also not good. Not as good as the first one. But I would drink it. Your noises aren't going to throw me off, Ash. What are you doing?
Interesting, I say.
Why did you like that? No, it's not going to throw me off, Ash.
Breaking news from North Las Vegas. Don't be a hater.
So the ones I like, I'm going on the outsides. These that may have...
I think you should try another one of C just to make sure.
Okay.
Because you
Just
only took
double
one.
check it. Yeah, you might have
Okay.
got some water in there.
So
So
that's fair. Still terrible.
Okay.
interesting.
Still terrible.
I feel like that.
All right, Matt. And don't fucking lie.
No,
I'm not.
No one trusts you.
I got them wrote
All
down.
right.
Should we go by one?
What's one?
Okay.
Well, so the first one that you tried, that one right there, is Cimarron.
Cimarron for the win.
I like Cimarron.
You do.
I've had it before. That's what we had the other night.
That's what we're drinking Friday.
You made some of the best Batangas you ever made.
I poured them hard too, bro.
Poured them hard.
I poured a triple shot in that thing.
Yes, you did. The Cimarron's good. This
C.
one.
That is Siempre Plata.
Okay.
No, is that a strong? Is that a
So
punchier?
is that a still string?
No, it's they're Blanco.
Okay. Siempre Plata.
B is El Tesoro.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That one.
You were sus.
No, but I said that's bad.
It's bad, but I
It
will
wasn't as
drink
bad
it.
as that
you,
one.
You said I will drink it.
Okay.
So you
And
know
this
that
is-
El Tesoro is not that bad.
compared to these other two,
And then the
I'll try it again.
okay.
Maybe you make them better than my favorite Mexican restaurant. You do make it better, but it's still not good. I'll give you that. And then this is the
You-
granddaddy.
you make a better shitty Batanga than
Exactly. Your piss water is better than their piss water.
and then that's El Tequileno.
That's just good shit.
Now, see, that's not what he said the first go.
Yes, I said the outsides.
You said
The two that I've had before, they were good.
Here's the thing: when you're suspect that something in there is going to get you, I think we all become hesitant to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But those two in the middle are not nearly as good as two on the outside. And the two on the outside go back to Friday night and go back to Mexico itself.
So what I think it is, and I haven't had El Tesoro I haven't sipped it in a minute, but I think, because I know like you didn't like Siete Leguas when you tried it.
That's fair.
And I'm like, dude, if I was
Did I just give you a bottle?
you brought the bottle around.
I brought you a bottle?
Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't
almost
like
out. But I think so when I sip on Siete Leguas, which for folks who are, if you don't know, in the tequila world, Patron, the original Patron, that if you drank Patron in the 90s when they were doing it right, that's just you were drinking Siete Leguas. And what I find with Siete Leguas is it's a bit peppery. It's got a little bit of a pepper, fair. As where a lot of other reposados, I get an oak with the agave. So I think maybe it's the pepperiness. I haven't had El Tesoro in a minute. And again, tequila, well-made, artisanal-made tequila.
It's going to be different. It's going to be different.
Americans want consistency.
It's going to be different.
They can't say like, hey, these are 100% always going to be the same.
I'll give you that.
So I think that might be where what you're actually, maybe the taste of what you're thinking. Yeah, it might be a little peppery. Maybe it's not as agave forward. I think you like the agave because I get a lot of agave on the Cimarron.
That I do know.
And I get a lot of a good tequila punch from like Cimarron.
So is that what G4 is? As far as agave forward, you talk about that?
I would say the stuff that I've been drinking pretty recently has been pretty agave forward, yeah. But now they've switched their formula. Didn't G4 switch up to their...
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little different moving forward. So, we'll have to try it. We'll have to see.
Okay. I'll take it.
Well,
I'll take that.
All of the bottles that we got from the tequila launch, if you bought one of the Blancos from the Las Vegas tequila launch, those are all the new flavor profiles.
Yeah. And I drank the whole thing. Loved it. And same thing with that Don Fulano.
Yeah, so Don Fulano is from Cimarron. It's the same.
It is.
Yeah, so Don Fulano, Cimarron, Tears of Llorona, and there's I can't think of the other one.
That's good.
Yeah, but it's a small mom and pop. Yeah, it's a small batch. They only make, I think,
Don Fulano and Cimarron. Which one are you more likely to get out and about when I leave the house?
I think you're going to see Don Fulano because it's a little bit more of a higher price point. So I've seen Cimarron. In all reality, I've been pushing bar people to make Cimarron the well. Because if you can get
$20 bucks.
Well, if you can get a full liter for under $30, I mean,
well, that's what I just paid for.
Hand over.
That's what I just paid for the El Tec. Yesterday, I paid $22 at least.
Yes, but think about it. For the El Tec Helene,
why wouldn't you make that your well?
Well, think about it. It's a mixto. So some people, let's say you are a purist and you want to stick strictly to 100% Blue Weber agave.
Hey, but nobody at well drinks is a purist. Can't be a purist if you're drinking off the well.
I disagree. If you make Cimarron, listen. If I walk into a place, well, what's your well tequila? El Tequiléno, done. I'll take it.
Done.
But again, you get a full 1 liter bottle, versus 750 milliliter, and it's the same price point.
Okay,
and it's 100% Blue Weber agave.
Yep. Yeah, I will. That's true. I did actually talk to somebody at the bar I was at the other day about getting something good. Taking your advice from last week. Can you put a bottle of this here? I said, I'll bring my own bottle. Put it back there for me. They said no.
No corkage fee.
Doesn't work that way.
Yeah, exactly. No cork fee.
I bet there are some bars out here in Las Vegas that we have relationships with that would stock like hey, for when the podcast guys come in, this is theirs. I bet they're. You'd have to have a relationship.
It would just be like the cigar bars where you have a locker or whatever.
That would be cool.
Oh, that would be cool.
Which would be a great bar idea, like a tequila bar idea, like cigars.
Do they have those here where you can get your locker? You've been to one?
They do. They're pricey.
Yeah.
I would do that.
And I don't smoke enough, so I'll have an occasional cigar. I swear my palate's changed or the tobacco's changed because every cigar I smoke now, I'm like, I don't enjoy it. Like
Well, the longer you go without having it, I went to cigar bar with some of my friends that are coaches here, and instant headache. I used to be able to do a cigar bar, have some drinks, and chill with the guys. Now, the smell of it is so heavy, and instant headache. You have to be in there for an hour.
Yeah, and
I was never a smoker.
Yeah, me neither.
Like I said, there are a couple things about me, and this will blow you guys' mind because you guys know me as well as anybody in the world. 4 things I've never done.
Never drank coffee.
Never smoked a cigarette.
Me neither.
Never drank coffee.
Crazy.
Never had a glass of wine.
Okay.
And I've never had a nightmare. Never had a bad dream.
How would you know?
No one has ever been hurt in one of my dreams. So if you're falling, you always land on your feet. If someone goes to punch you,
until that sudden impact at the ground, then
but you just land like you just walk away. Like no one can punch. No one. If you try and shoot a gun, it goes. Then the bullet comes out. And falls down.
I've had that.
No one's ever been hurt in any dream I've ever had. I'm more likely to wake up laughing from a joke I told in a dream than wake up happy. Like I've never had a nightmare. I've never woke up.
That you remember?
Well, I assume.
I'll tell you about some nightmares.
I would know. I mean, how would I know?
Yeah.
You wake up, you kind of remember your dreams, or I guess you don't have to remember your dreams, but I've never woke up and I've never said, like if I'm playing basketball, I've never missed a shot. I've never dropped a pass.
Is DJ Khaled in the background? All that dudes win, no matter what.
Like literally, it's unbelievable. like I've never dropped a football or someone passed it to me.
In your dreams.
If I'm playing baseball, I've never not hit a home run. Nothing bad has ever happened, and no one's ever died.
That's interesting.
That must be nice.
Yeah.
With his night terrors. Man's like, I'm crying right now.
That must be nice.
No one's ever died. No one's ever had. Nothing bad has ever happened that I've ever remembered. So I've never woke up. Nothing bad's ever happened.
Man, you get some dreams that are just like your body tenses up so bad, and like it's horrible sometimes.
You've had them. Like a night terror?
Yeah.
I had them very young in my career. I would have
extremely vivid.
Like there's someone
night
in my
terror. What's a night terror?
I couldn't move my body.
Yeah.
I woke up one time. I was a young deputy. This was like 99, 2000. Before I was married and before I was back in Vegas. And I was going through it was like really stressful time in my life because I was butting heads with some people at work. But I woke up in a night terror where I felt something grab my foot in my room. I had a little tiny condo in northern Nevada, about an hour south of Reno. I woke up, I felt something pulling at my foot. And I went to reach for my Beretta to shoot whoever was in my condo.
It would have been your own foot.
No, I just couldn't move, dude. I could not move. I was stuck. And it's like when people say they have like
lucid dreams.
Well, they're like something came, like the alien came and got me and took me to the ship and I couldn't move. Like, I kind of empathize with that. That person either experienced a night terror or something happened. They're not making it up because I distinctly remember. And then I was dating my wife at the time. We were just dating and I was at her place and I had the most craziest dream where I was a cop. I was chasing a bad guy. And we were in Tahoe, and I used to be a deputy in the South Shore of Lake Tahoe. And if you've ever been to South Shore Lake Tahoe on the Nevada side, there's 4 casinos. There's Harvey's. There used to be a Harvey's, but it's still there, Harvey's. There was a Harrah's across the street. I forget what it is now, but it used to be Caesars. And then there was a High Sierra, and it's a different place now. I think it's Hard Rock now. But anyways, in the dream, I'm chasing a bank robber into the Caesars. And so you used to walk up a set of stairs, and there were these water fountains. And you'd go up this small set of stairs, and then, like when you go into a casino and like the doors are tinted black, you can't even see through them.
Of course.
So I go to grab the door open, and the dude's gun comes out, and I push the gun to the side, pull my Beretta out, and from the, that weapons retention technique, boom, boom, boom,
Ding,
boom,
ding,
boom,
ding, ding. Yeah.
shoot through the window.
Yep.
Glass shatters. There is like a 7-year-old girl with blue eyes and blonde hair. She got multiple gunshot wounds to the chest. She's bleeding. She's like, "Why did you shoot me?" And then she dies in front of me. And I'm like, dude, I wake up and I am
quit my job.
Dude, I almost did.
I would.
I wake up. I am freaking out. And here's my, at the time, girlfriend. I don't think I had proposed to her yet. And she's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I'm like, "Oh, I killed her. I'm so sorry." And I used to, and then I got to a certain point in my life where I'm like, let that shit go, dude. Like, you can't control everything.
Yeah.
And I really haven't had any crazy nightmare dreams since.
I used to talk in my sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to walk in my sleep. And my ex-wife used to say, I used to always call out football plays. I would be coaching an entire football game, calling out plays in my sleep.
That's so awesome.
That's it. And she said you would call out plays, and I did it, but never once did we not win a game in my.
Wow.
That's so crazy. That's
Isn't
very.
it?
Have you ever talked to somebody about this?
The
Why should I talk?
undisputed.
It's a great thing. I would never go, "Oh, hey, man, it was weird. Everything is roses and peaches in my dreams. Is that normal?"
All I do is win and win no matter
I've never talked to anybody. But I think it's a great thing.
Interesting.
I mean, I don't
I
know.
think that's a great thing. It must be nice.
It is.
I have stupid dreams.
I didn't realize how weird it was until I started talking to people about like having bad dreams. So if I took like some what's the thing that some melatonin or before to try and help me sleep,
Melatonin
I
is
had these
horrible.
crazy lucid dreams. So I was telling somebody about that because sometimes I would take the NyQuil Z's, but every now and then I started taking the melatonin to help me, get that first 20 minutes of sleep. I would have the craziest lucid dreams ever. I was telling somebody, I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's a weird," and I was like, I was describing it like it was a nightmare because it was so weird. And they're like, "That's not a nightmare. This is what a nightmare looks like." And I'm like, "Oh God,
Yeah.
fuck your life if you gotta sleep like that."
Do you sleep well though? Do you generally get a full night's sleep?
I will lay down we'll leave here tonight. I'll lay down at 9:30 and I will not move until 4:00 in the morning. I will wake up at exactly 4. Like I can go months without the left side of my bed. Like when I wake up, I just put this little sheet over the last part of the thing, fluff my pillow, and that's it.
Interesting.
I don't move. I wake up at exactly 4:00 every morning, no matter what. And I don't have to look at the clock. Just go right to the gym.
See, that's the way I am. Like, I have a small sliver of bed that I sleep on, wide enough for me,
That's
long
it.
enough for me to roll over onto one side or the other side.
Yeah.
And like the rest of the bed could be,
Clothes.
made up, and it's never. It would never be.
I don't ever move around.
I remember in the room in Tequila at Casa Salas, you were doing some talking in your sleep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I heard you doing some coaching. And you slept pretty good to your side of the bed. I think there's a couple times we rolled out over and woke up in each other's arms like, "Oh!"
Yeah. Those are not pillows.
That was him trying to hug
That
me.
was the reference.
Pillows.
That was the reference I was trying to think of. What was that movie?
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, man. That's a
John
classic.
Candy.
Yo, John Candy. Well, him, between two pillows. Yeah. No, I never roll over. I don't toss. I don't turn. I just sleep it off.
Interesting.
Yeah, good times right there, man.
All
Yeah,
right.
melatonin for me would do
It's really bad.
vivid, lucid nightmares.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Lucid nightmares?
I've tried 3 times to take melatonin, and all 3 times it was the same thing, and I said never again.
Yeah.
Won't do it.
What about Ambien? Have you ever
Who
taken
hurt
Ambien?
you, Matt? Matt, who hurt you?
I've been through some shit.
Yeah. Lucid nightmares would scare the shit out of me.
Yes, Ambien has never done anything, like people have said it's done where you get up and walk or,
Well, look at what did to Roseanne Barr.
Yeah.
We could get that.
Yeah, she got canceled because of Ambien. She
Right.
tweeted some shit on Twitter. Or I'm sorry, X.
Back in the day, yeah.
But tryptophan and magnesium, it's good.
When I retired, I'll make my sinner's confession here. I was about 3 weeks retired from the job, and I took a little half of a cannabis edible, and I slept for the first time in my entire life. I felt like,
Seriously?
oh, dude, I had a total psychedelic experience on it.
No, that's not sleep.
No.
Your brain.
No,
What?
so
Are you sure it was a cannabis
I
edible?
woke up morning long. Good night
No.
sleep though.
well, I took it, and I was already asleep, and it was, a friend had given it to me.
So he took it and he was already asleep.
No, I was sleepy. I was already tired.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, I'm feeling pretty tired. But the problem, as with my career, was the phone was always on,
Of course.
and they called. It used to be they would call for just important shit.
Yeah.
Then they started calling for everything, and they called for the stupidest shit. And it was so I didn't really sleep a lot, when the phone was on, and that was almost all the time, especially towards the later end of my career. But a friend of mine gave me like a sleeping one. Like, here, this is for sleeping. And I had never done anything in my life, not even, when I was a teenager. It was just, I drank beer. That was it.
I
Nothing
can
crazy.
imagine what an edible would do to me.
So, well, here's the thing. You have to understand when you ingest and you eat cannabis, it's digested through your liver. So it digests differently in your body. And I forget, it's like 5-MeO something or whatever the thing is in your head. And it tends to have a psychedelic effect sometime. And I have a little bit of a creative brain. And I thought, oh, we'll see what happens here.
What could go wrong?
No. So
What could go wrong?
Bad
So,
things.
anyways, like I start to see this the Grateful Dead bears come out of a circus,
Nope.
out of a
Nope.
chuck wagon, and they are dancing. They're all dancing, and I see all this like stuff going on in my head, and I'm like watching it. And I'm like, and I finally said, "Hey guys." I go, look, this is cool, but I really need to go to sleep now. And in unison, they're like, oh, we're sorry. And they go back into this chuck wagon, and the circus all goes in, and they poof, and I fell asleep, and I woke up the next morning, probably 10 hours of solid sleep.
You are
must be
smoky
nice,
from
too.
Friday.
Dude, I walked
when
out.
they gave him that time. Listen,
Right?
I
woke up in
walked
a chicken
out.
coop.
I walked out, and I was sweating like I ain't been right since. No, it was great. I slept for the first time in
Happy
like
and
15
Debo's
years.
pigeon coop.
God, yes, and Tebow's pigeon coop. Yeah, I couldn't imagine what something like that would do to me. I can't take any sleeping stuff. It makes me have weird dreams, and I have normal dreams anyway, so I wouldn't know what to do with that stuff in my system.
I would love to know what sleep's like.
Matt, we gotta get you.
We got to get you some help,
man.
brother.
We gotta get you some help. I didn't know you've been. I asked you today if everything was okay
Yes.
when you told me.
Look, just because I made soup for dinner.
Who has soup? Just soup, no bread. Kool-Aid, no sugar.
Ketchup,
Ham,
no burger.
no burger. Who has just soup for dinner?
Me.
It was good.
It was good, but it wasn't.
It was a hearty soup.
See?
What was it?
It was. Thick egg
It was
noodles.
a great part to a meal.
Thick egg noodles, chicken, potatoes, green beans, carrots, onions, and celery. And the broth was homemade.
I'm not saying it wasn't good. It was great soup. I will give you that.
Fair enough.
All right. It was great soup. It was a great start to what could have been a wonderful meal.
And
But it
now
was
look at you.
just soup.
Now look at you.
Ah,
So, I trolled a certain nightclub here in the Summerlin area of Las Vegas today. They posted a picture of some gals holding up some cocktails. And the comment was, is this how the Summerlin Botoxed white women celebrate the loss of OJ? So I thought that would be a good segue to move on to.
listen. You tell me your OJ feelings about the whole situation. I'll tell you mine. We'll start with Matt. Matt, how do you feel about the life, the death, and the entire story around what's going on or what happened in the 90s?
Well, having been a teenager at the time when, all that stuff went down, I really wasn't too much into the case. Like,
got it.
I had other stuff going on,
You're a teenager. Yeah.
I wasn't. I mean, yeah, it was always on TV. You always saw it, but at the same time, I'm just like, God, I'm over it. Fast forward to living here in Vegas.
Yeah.
I actually had the opportunity to meet him. I mean, he used to go to the cigar bar over in Tivoli Village every Wednesday.
Yep.
That was his spot. I just happened to be there one night. Got a chance to sit down, chat with him the entire night. All we talked about was sports, had cocktails. Nicest guy you could ever meet.
Okay.
Fast forward to the death. I mean, I got no opinion about it. It's sad for his family, and of course. I wish his family be able to push forward through this horrific time in their life.
Taking the beating now.
Yeah,
you're right.
But other than that, I have no
feelings on the story.
Fight. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the guy. You're like, I know the guy. He was cool enough to me.
Yeah.
He wasn't stabby on me. So that's
I also
good.
didn't have blonde hair, and
well, it doesn't have to be blonde. What about you, Ash?
Well, so my cousin was kind of buddies with OJ.
Okay.
My cousin, his street name's Sneaky Beef.
Sounds legit to me.
But we call him Bert.
That's the
Sneaky Beef.
Yeah, Sneaky
I'd rather
Beef.
go by Sneaky B.
Yeah, Sneaky Beef.
Oh,
Beef.
Sneaky Beef.
Sneaky
Beef.
Beef. Worse. Yeah.
Right?
He sounds like a cereal.
And he would usually, like, when people say, why is it Sneaky Beef? He goes, because those aren't my fingers. But anyways, I know it's a bit rapey.
A little.
But anyways, he was buddies. They made a little friendship because my cousin, always in the Summerlin area when I was, when he was here living. He's not here. He's in Florida now. But anyways, it was always, that Grape Street, Jing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd always see OJ, I'd bump, hey, what's up, Mr. Simpson, but, for me, it was, again,
Did you really call him Mr. Simpson?
I mean,
he's an older guy. That's out of respect.
Yeah.
I'm just asking if that's what he really
You
called
don't call anybody from your mom's generation by the first name.
Yes.
Just the principality.
No, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I, for me as a kid growing up, I'm like, well, he's clearly guilty. He clearly did this job. He did crime. An interesting story when I was a kid growing up, and my mom had we spent many weekends in Southern California, and we would go to the Mezzaluna restaurant where Ron Goldman was a waiter. And I remembered him. He was he was our waiter several times when I was much younger, and before the crime occurred, early 90s, when he was the waiter there at that restaurant. It was a pretty well-known restaurant in the Beverly Hills area. But anyways, growing up, I was a teenager. I was pretty young, and I was like, he's, clearly guilty. But I didn't realize when I was a kid, this is my, the ignorance of, and probably a testament to living in a racially pretty diverse world.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was like this guy got one over on the white people's criminal justice system.
Well, he got treated like a white person. He got treated like a rich. He got what normal rich white people get in the criminal justice system.
So, like, when he won the case and black people were celebrating and white people were like, damn. Like, I always remember Chris Rock's joke. I haven't seen white people that mad since they canceled MASH. Like, white people so angry, black people so happy. And I'm like, I remember being like, I don't understand. Like, why are they celebrating?
It was very interesting.
And I just thought, well, is it just because he's black?
No.
And it's just because
he was never part of the black community.
But he was a black guy that, the black community in LA was so sick and tired and I never saw the links to Rodney King, the riots. So when I watched the documentary, I'm like,
it was so much. OJ had almost nothing to do with the situation. You know what I'm saying?
I would agree with that.
It was really an FU to the LAPD.
It's and this is one of the things I tell people all the time. When someone's on trial, it's not just this defendant on trial. The defendant's on trial, and the system is on trial too. Whichever one is the most guilty at that time is the one that loses.
That's a good point.
Whichever one is the most guilty at that time that it loses. And that's just the way it is. If the defense can prove that the system was more messed up than they were, then the defense gets off. If the system can prove that the defender was more messed up than them, then they lose. And that's the way it goes. At that time, the LAPD, and this blows my mind, because I was in college at the time. I was saying I'm a little bit older than you guys. I was in college. I was out of college at the time when OJ happened. But LAPD had spent 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s pretty much creating more reasonable doubt in their activities than anyone could have ever created. You know what I'm saying? They had decades of behavior that could lead somebody to say, this organization is more messed up than anybody else. Like, as a guy from the East Coast, I couldn't believe at the time, after Rodney King, after the late 60s, those race riots, I couldn't believe LAPD could put anybody in jail with the history that they had for setting people up, planting evidence, killing innocent bystanders, the way their actions were, rampart, all that stuff. I couldn't believe they put anybody in jail. And after that, of course, they had to open up and let so many people out because of the evidence being tainted. But I don't think it had much to do with, it wasn't a referendum on OJ. It was all LAPD.
Yeah, and at the time, I'm like, I didn't understand that.
Because black people, the black community, it was never about, I'm so happy OJ's free. I mean, he had separated from the community decades before that.
I remember him saying in the documentary, what are all these blanks doing in my neighborhood when they got to Brentwood
100%.
and all these black folks were there? Yeah, OJ. And he's like, what are all these?
He said, I don't want to be seen as black, I want to be seen as OJ.
Yeah.
And he was. And it had nothing to do with him. It was the system. People don't understand. And I was in college at the time. God, I am older than you guys. I was in college at the time when Rodney King happened, right? And when Rodney King happened...
I was just a teenager, yeah.
Yeah,
when
me
Rodney
too.
King happened, the entire community was like... That was a big moment. Because for the first time, the black community had actual evidence of how LAPD had been treated. They could say, look, we weren't making all this up all this time.
Rodney King was the moment I watched that video. My affinity, I had an affinity for law enforcement as a child.
Yeah.
And wanted to be a police officer I remember being 5 and I'm like, that's going to be me one day.
Yep.
And that Rodney King video, and at first I was like, well, maybe he had a gun. But I'm like, why don't they just shoot him? Like, if he had a gun under there, like, just shoot his ass.
Yeah. If he was a threat.
If he was a threat,
Right.
like if he was holding a gun, and like if someone's holding a gun here,
if he's
and
in
you're
the
fighting
position,
for a gun,
yes.
you could justify deadly force.
Absolutely.
And I remember thinking, like, is this what these rap songs I'm listening to are talking about?
That's it.
And then that was the first time I thought, like, that was the first time why do my eyes hurt, Morpheus? Because you haven't used them, Neo.
It was a big
my
moment.
eyes open, and I'm like, because I almost thought there was a time where I'm like, maybe I'll move to LA and I'll be a Los Angeles police officer.
Try and clean this up.
No, just like LAPD, like that. What's the best police department in the world? LAPD. All right, that's where I want to be a cop. And then I saw that, and I'm like, what?
Maybe Metro? Yeah, maybe Metro.
Any place other than
And
LA?
look, every police. Look, I've met a lot of LAPD cops, and they're amazing people. And I've worked cases with LAPD.
Individually.
Individually,
they're all wonderful.
And I find, of course, I'm working with detective units, intelligence units, homicide detective. These are guys who are like career tip of the spear people.
Tip of the spear.
But you've got like, and I've seen it in all law enforcement organizations have this potential where you could have rogue squads, like a weak sergeant doesn't supervise, lead, effectively supervise, is effectively trained, effectively lead his troops, his or her troops. He loses control of those cops at the front line, and cops need, I've always said cops are the greatest Americans to exist, but they need an immense amount
of
supervision and leadership.
They
Yeah.
have to have it.
Yeah, they need management and they need leadership. They need they need that salty, and that's where like these sergeants who are like, I have 5 years on the job and now I'm a sergent. And I'm like,
That reminds me of the FBI.
I promoted at year 20.
That reminds me of the FBI.
Yes. And it's
That
like
is so FBI.
you went through field training, you spent 6 months on the streets and the glam, nice, cush part of town.
Mm-hmm.
Then you went to the, turkeys and free toys unit, and now you're a sergeant.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why they lose control of these young, aggressive alpha men and women who are
They
like
have no
Right.
experience
Right.
in an environment that they're trying to control.
But yeah, so I always thought, like, when I first saw Rodney King, I was just like, wait a minute. I remember being like, wait, that's what, like, I was like, I was like, man, fuck these cops. Like, fuck that.
So, and Rodney King, and you would have been really young for this, but Rodney King came after NWA's
Yes.
start into, look, we're actually trying to tell you what is really happening. Unfortunately,
And that's why
Dre wrapped it around such a good beat, and Ice Cube made it sound so good. People didn't get the message that this is what's really happening out here.
hence why I was like, is that what these songs I've been listening to is all about? Yeah.
Those guys did they wrapped it around. So very good job.
I always try to find the comedy in a situation. And here's my comedy of the situation. Right now, in the Las Vegas, probably the Summerlin area of the Las Vegas Valley, there's a woman who was at the Jing 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, right around the time when OJ said, I'm not going to hospice, I feel great. And she was the last one to go back to the pad with OJ. And we want to know, ma'am, where we need you to let us know.
At 76, do you think he was still
100 million%. He crushed a Cialis and started it off of her titty. There's right
Matt,
now.
at 76, was OJ still in Jing doing his thing?
I'm going to say yeah.
At 76,
Someone holds the last to get slayed by OJ.
no way.
Come on.
76.
Oh, let's say it was 2 years ago. Let's say his dick didn't work for the last 2 years. Some woman out there, very likely in the Summerlin area, in the Jing area, in the Grape Street restaurant, went home with OJ one night, and you, ma'am, you were the last one.
Do you think they did it just to say they did it?
100%, because status is status is status.
I have too much faith in
This is the country we live in.
Right.
This guy murders 2 people in cold blood. We all know he did that. And a woman will go, he's got status. Oh, well.
And I think it was years and years since he's had it.
Had what?
A woman.
You think so?
Yeah.
I disagree. Better living through pharmaceuticals.
He was the lesser of 2 guilties on that day. He was the lesser of 2. He committed the least heinous crimes in that year on those streets, and those guys were on. And it's the fact that it is still so forceful in our community should let people know how big a deal it was. That he was the first guy to be, he got treated like a rich person should be treated or has been treated, not should be, but has been treated regardless of race.
I also think there was just a media circus around it. There was a media circus around it that just overwhelmed the ability for a fair prosecution.
Well, and I mean, that.
Irregardless of LAPD's history, a lot of people, LAPD, I know LAPD's had their issues, but you know what? A lot of people gone to prison for murder, because LAPD did a solid investigation. His blood was in her shoe. Come on. Like, what are we talking about this for? He's clearly guilty of the crime.
If 2 weeks into the case, into the testimony, the prosecution, the case, all the cops are getting up on the stands, pleading the fifth to their previous activities, I don't care if there's a picture of you stabbing somebody. If all the cops have to plead the fifth because of their previous activities, you're going free.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, the evidence is irrelevant in this situation.
Right.
If the cops have to plead the fifth to the things that they had done previously, you're getting that is the very definition of reasonable doubt.
But that's the whole Brady rule. If you've hey cops, you never lie on the stand. You never lie in a report because it becomes exculpatory to the defense when you go, hey, have you ever had any discipline? Yeah, I had discipline. I got 10 hours for a car wreck. Okay, no big deal.
Yeah.
Have you ever been accused of lying? You don't ever want, hey, you screwed up, but don't lie.
One of the things that one of the old, I learned more from some of my Metro PD partners than anybody else in policing. Some of those older guys, man, the original hostage negotiators that trained me, and some of the original counterterrorism guys were just some seasoned, smart guys.
Myself included.
Yes, yourself included. But one of the original, and you will agree with me on this, Dan New.
Mm-hmm.
Dan New said...
He was a cop when I was a kid.
Yeah. Dan New was a cop when there was no paved road south of Sahara.
Yep.
Dan New said, one thing he said about the FBI, which I'd already been in the FBI for 10, 12 years, when he told me, he says, the FBI believes your reputation is a tradable commodity.
Mm-hmm.
And they will do anything that they can to ensure that reputation is clean, including eat people and spit them out that they think are going to sully it. And that is so true. And it was no more bigger or more easily shown in that OJ trial. That's why the FBI acts the way they act, because it is a tradable. There is a value associated with your reputation.
Yes.
That some of those officers that went the wrong way did not recognize.
I would always tell my trainees, I'd say, get out of the car, look at the side of the police car. And they'd get out and they'd look. I go, what does it say? And they'd say, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I go, and what's that next to it? What's that big thing on the side of the door? And they're like, it's the badge. I go, no, it's the brand.
That's it.
It's the brand.
That's it.
I go, look at that badge on your chest. It's the brand. Who owns the badge? And they'd be like, they kind of see where I was going. Anyone with a semblance of a modicum of brain cells.
Yeah.
Do you own the badge? The fuck you own that badge. You do not own that badge.
Nope.
The people have let you, the people have allowed the sheriff. They've allowed the sheriff to go, you're worthy. Let's give you a shot. May the odds be ever in your favor. Yep. You don't own that badge. The very millisecond you think you own your police badge is the very millisecond you're going down a rabbit hole
that you don't want to go.
You do not want to go down.
You don't want to go down that hole, man.
And if you think you're going to sully the brand,
you're out of your mind.
You're out of your mind.
Or if you
it's a tradable commodity.
Or even if you think you're going to win that argument.
Yes.
You're not.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you think you're going to win that argument.
Right?
No, you're not going to
No,
win
it's
that
my
argument.
badge. Oh, it's not. Because your badge can easily be revocable.
Yeah. It's hard to get. It's easy to lose.
Yeah.
The second you think you own it, you're fucked.
Yep.
I would look at it. Every day I'd look at that badge. I don't own that badge.
Mm-hmm.
The day I retired, they give me a little badge with a little retired on top of it. Yeah, they gave me my badge. It's in the safe. It's for my shadow box. I still don't own it.
Yep.
The authority is I no longer have the authority to use the badge. I might flash it to the highway patrolman who pulled me over the one time, and maybe he won't write me a ticket. Knock on wood, he didn't. But yeah, if you're a police officer and you're listening to the podcast, you don't own your badge. The people own the badge. You don't own it. You didn't own your FBI shield.
No,
and it wasn't yours.
And I always explain the FBI. It's one of those jobs that the job is not that hard. It's harder to get the job than it is to do the job, and it's easier to lose the job than it is to get the job.
Yes.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
I couldn't have
100%.
said it better.
Yeah, and so doing it, it wasn't that difficult.
Once you're in, like,
giving it's impossible.
Yeah.
Losing it's even easier.
yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You got to keep it. And it's weird now because I sit around now and I'm like, we had to walk such a straight line for so long to keep it that I was talking to somebody today and I was like, I got PTSD from how straight I had to walk the line
Yes.
for 20 years.
Yes.
Because losing it is easier than getting it, which
That's
was
true.
almost impossible.
And I think you're right. And I tell people, like, to get the job is difficult, but once you're in, like, if you are just kind of all I want to be is a patrol officer for 25 years, it's easy. It's like, look, man, you learn the policies, understand a semblance of the elements of crimes. I mean, just think crazy ones. I'm not saying you have to know the craziest. A law from 1913 says you can't spit on a crack the sidewalk
Unless you're in Arizona and you talk about women's rights,
right? Understand basic criminal law. What's the definition of probable cause? Facts and circumstances known that would warrant a prudent person. Crime's been committed, you did it. Know the elements of the crime, and be able to write a decent, somewhat readable report. You're like, I'm pitching them, I'm 80%. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And don't bang strippers. Don't sell secrets to mafioso. Don't sell drugs. Don't be an idiot. You're going to keep your job. Now if you want to move into investigative units, the big leagues
at all,
intelligence
it
world,
becomes easier to lose your job.
And it's harder. It requires much more of an understanding of what I call the 3D chessboard. Most cops are playing checkers. A couple cops play chess, and then a few of us 3D chess.
Just like from Big Bang Theory. They had their multi-level chess.
If I move this piece here, how does it affect
everything
on all
else?
these levels of...
It's good stuff. You agree, Matt?
I would agree.
So, how did the military in those same areas move as far as getting in, doing the right thing, being held accountable is the most important thing? Did you guys see the same thing where you were?
Well, I can tell you as a CID agent, CID, which is the Criminal Investigative Division of the United States Army, they eat their own. It doesn't matter. There are people within the organization, and I will say a lot of people within the organization that will try and step on you in order to get to the next rung in the
Crabs
ladder.
in a bucket.
And, unfortunately, while I was in, I saw that happen a lot. I tried to stay, in my own lane, and, I wasn't an organization that I wanted to be with forever. So
I can get that.
Is it like, Matt, in the Army, isn't it like there's like two different armies?
Well, I mean, what do you mean by it?
There's like the Army that employs people for jobs, and then there's the Army that actually goes out and does shit.
Well, no, because you have, you have a civilian side of the Army, and then you also have the United States Army. As with, any military organization, you have all of those jobs or MOSs that are required. So like finance, you have people who are in a finance MOS, they take care of all of the pay for the military, and they fix.
Okay, but go a step past that to the mentality of the actual person working.
Okay.
Like put it like this.
So
it's a 30-30. 30% of the people, 33% of the people are workless. 33% are pulling their own. 30% are just there.
So it just depends. So ideally, you honestly have your tier 1 guys, which are special forces, Delta,
Special Operations Command.
And then you have like infantry and those that deploy. And then you have those that don't deploy, or very few deploy. And in that instance, you're looking at what we call pugs. Those are people that basically stay on the fob or on the base when deployed.
Do those people come into the military only wanting to do that? Like Ash talked about the people that become cops and never want to not be a patrolman. Do they come in with these higher aspirations and can't make them, or do they come in with let's just keep it simple and get out when we can?
I think there's a probably good mixture of both of those. That, I mean, you get those that are very patriotic and that want to serve, and then for whatever reason they get an MOS or pick an MOS that doesn't allow them to maybe be more patriotic than others.
Okay.
And in those instances, like, I mean, they end up doing their initial contract and then they get out, and then you get people that become, what are referred to as lifers, and those are, the 20 plus years retirement and all that. So it ideally it just depends.
Hey, we got that. So when I came in, my last one, when I came into the FBI, I was in that group of people in the FBI that applied before 9/11 during a hiring freeze. So we applied and we heard crickets for years. Then after 9/11, all the older agents that were eligible to retire, which was a considerable amount of them, left because they saw the writing on the wall and they knew it was not going to be chasing bank robbers
And mobsters.
like they came in for in the 80s.
Yes.
And they all left. And when I was in my recruitment class, first day, you stand up and you talk about, this is who I am, this is where I'm from, this is what I did before, this is why I joined. And most of the people in my class said that they joined because after 9/11, they felt this higher calling and this sense of duty, and they wanted to do something about it, so they joined the FBI. I was one of only 2 people that said, yeah, I applied in the 90s, and I was, I just got the job. But most of those people, and that right there became the difference. So you talk about the people that become lifers, and that's their job. Most of those people that hadn't been their job since they were 5, like you with Metro.
Yeah.
They hadn't been what they had only dreamed about doing. It was something that they felt a certain way after 9/11, and they thought this was the way to fix it. And I don't know that that's the right mentality to keep somebody in there for life.
Well, I mean, take me, for instance. Like, it was shortly after 9/11, I think a couple years. I ended up going in. One, I wasn't 21 yet. I'd already been through the police academy. I'd already been through SWAT school, everything, but I wasn't old enough in Ohio to carry a gun. So I was only 20, but I had all of these certifications. And I didn't want to do reserve because I didn't want to ride with somebody else. I wanted to get out on the road. I wanted to be a cop at that point. And I said, what other way can I do this? So I went into the military to be an MP, became an MP, deployed, got to at some point work the road on Fort Bragg after deployments.
Yeah.
But, as me wanting to get into law enforcement and stuff like that, that's
the road you chose.
That's the road that I chose.
I never wanted to, it never crossed my mind. I was a high school teacher, and one of my students' mom was a head of recruiting in FBI Miami. And at a parent-teacher conference, she said, you might be good at this job. And I said, well, if I keep teaching, I'll have to work till I'm 70.
Yeah.
Might as well try it. And it never crossed my mind a day before that.
And you never thought of normal, everyday civilian law enforcement, like state, local?
I thought about it, and actually had dates at the academy with Miami-Dade.
Oh, wow.
And when the FBI came along, and I was told Miami-Dade, just kidding.
And see, like,
it was just not something where I came up. It's not something that people where I came from did.
When you get to the FBI Academy, or you first day you're wearing a suit?
Oh yeah.
And do they take you on like a 10-mile run in the suit? They don't yell. Do they yell and scream at you and they take you on a run?
Day 2. You get there on a Sunday. Sunday night is when everyone's in their suits, sitting up talking.
so it's day 0.
Yeah, day 0. You wake up day 1. Yeah, get your ass on the track.
And do they scream and yell at you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So, and it was the interesting part about it. So, in the FBI, you've got guys, a number of guys that were cops. So they know that part of the academy. So it didn't phase those guys because that. You got guys like me, I came up an athlete. Yelling and screaming at me, it did nothing to me. Like, it didn't phase me at all because I grew up on a football field in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you all, we were getting hit.
It was a gladiator camp.
Yeah, we were getting beat
Yeah.
by coaches in the 80s.
Yeah.
So for this to be you yelling at me, calling me soft, it's just nothing. But for some people, it actually created the stressful environment that they were trying to create.
The girl who
It
has
worked.
the accounting degree, who never had been anything.
Yeah. And so the people that had never thought about the fact that they were going through an actual academy that was being run by FBI former SWAT personnel that woke up, did a couple hundred push-ups just so they could push, a little guy into the way. Yeah, they had never. Yeah, it affected those people.
Or the Mormon kid who did his mission and thought that was really tough.
It affected those. For me, I was like, come on, man. We both know that you're just trying to create a stressful environment to see if I can take it.
Yeah.
And we both know I can take it. Let's have a beer.
Can you hit me? No?
No.
That's too bad. That'd be fun.
That was your last resort, son.
That's it? You can't punch me? All right.
No one's going to hurt me? I'm not going to actually get tased?
But see, I mean, that even goes into, military boot camp. Like, if you go in with that mentality, you're going to come out on top.
Yeah.
And when I went through, boot camp, I was like, my brother had been through, so he gave me pointers on what to do. My grandfather was in the military. My dad was in the military.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, and my stepdad was, a Marine, and, so having all that knowledge of, hey, this is what you should.
They could say to you.
Yeah.
And you went through 2 academies.
Yeah.
And the thing about it for me, though, is both of my drill instructors, they were both airborne. So me going into boot camp and afterwards I was going to airborne school. Like I was
already
I was already the golden child because, there very few go to airborne school right out of boot camp. And
I knew going through when I got to Metro, because I'd already been a cop for 3 years and I already had that academy under my belt. And I knew going through some,
How long was Metro's academy?
I mean, we started August 21 of 01 and we graduated January 17.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, and I think it's a couple more months now.
Yeah.
But I remember going through and I just thought, all right, there's always going to be a couple knuckleheads. There's always like one guy who's like, I'll drink and drive and get away with it, and you're fired. So don't be that guy. There's the guy who volunteers for everything.
Don't be that
guy. Like, it's occasionally okay. Like, hey, I need to volunteer right here.
Definitely don't be the guy that asks questions at the end of class. Never. If there's one thing that you can do, never be that guy.
Yeah. Sir, I have a 3-part question in 2 sections.
Okay, let's just go ahead and remove you to the side because you can ask your question on the side. Like, let the class go.
And for me going to the academy, I always I hated running.
Oh, me too.
And I always thought to myself, like, why you end with a 10-mile run. When am I ever going to run 10 miles? Never mind, like weight training, CrossFit stuff, like jiu-jitsu
my thing.
Might actually serve me well in the streets, but no, let's go for a 10-mile run.
But see, that 10-mile run, what you don't realize is when you are in the scuffle and you are rolling around with people, like that 10-mile run gets your cardiovascular up while you're.
So in the
I went through the first academy, my academy with Metro, and I looked through and I said, I got to make 75% of these runs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Everything after this, I can quit.
Yeah.
And I actually was injured my knee. And so I'm like, thank God. Cause I'm like, I have to make all these runs and everything after this. If something happens, I'm okay. I'm still like, I'm making it, meeting the standard.
And see, for us, we did, and this was me. Yeah. We had a considerable amount of PT ground tactics.
Yes.
What I mean, the tactics. A considerable amount of boxing and fighting, a ton of running, and an unbelievable amount of shooting. And my theory was, I don't have to learn how to fight, run, and shoot. You know what I'm saying? You do one of those good, and you don't really need the other. You know what I'm saying? You run well. Yeah, you don't have to run and shoot. You don't have to fight and run. You just got to learn one real good.
It's funny because, the FBI, I would always tease the agents when I was on the task force. And you sit here and you say you spent all this time shooting. I'm like, hey, get your gun, blow the dust out of it. We're going to go knock on a bad guy's door.
We shot more rounds in the FBI than you guys ever shot at Metro. It was no comparison. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds. So when you guys did your test, and I would see you guys when I would go to the do quals with you guys shot a fraction of the rounds we shot. Now, we didn't get to pull our guns during the work like you guys did, but as far as the practice rounds went, and then because we had more people that had no familiarity with guns. I had never touched a gun before I got to the FBI, and I never touched one after, and I never touched a gun other than the one they handed me on week 1, day 1. So they had people like me that had never seen a gun before. So it was unbelievable the amount of.
So that's also, and they probably are like, we're going to, out of an abundance of caution, drill, because you really aren't, you have to do something 10,000 times before you're really
thousands and thousands.
Yeah. And so
on top of that, we didn't have, so in the FBI.
You didn't have your guns in your room either.
Well, no. And
so
we also don't have the same escalation of force that you guys have.
Right.
Right. We didn't have all these other tools to be able to use on a day.
And so when I went to my first academy in 98, the TAC staff, the academy staff would say, go home, unload, put your duty belt on, unload your gun, put the mag and the ammo in a separate room or lock it in a safe. 3 times check it, and then practice drawing out and punching out. Draw a punch out. Draw a punch out.
Yeah, we had those in rooms in our dorms.
So I that's my thing. Is like, were you allowed to do that in the academy?
Because we had the rooms where you would dry fire all the time. You would hear, we had rooms in the dorms where everything was dry. People were drying all the time. We had to carry red handles.
Okay.
24 hours a day. You had to have your red handle on your hip.
Your red gun.
Yeah. I think they're blue handles now. We had red guns. We had a rubber gun.
Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah.
And every night they had the dry fires in the dorm room. So it wasn't just, obviously you couldn't take it out of the armory.
Yeah.
But you don't take it. But you had a gun on you or were handling a gun.
Or something looking like a gun.
24/7.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 24/7.
All right. Makes sense.
Yeah. So now they some of the best teaching, and I hate guns. And I always have and I always will. And I hated, that was the absolute worst part of the FBI was firearms training. Because it was trained by people that loved guns. And so they would talk and I was like, just put the target up, let me qual, let me go home. But the teaching that they did for firearms in Quantico, as a person who is, born and raised a teacher, was a teacher for the FBI, it was some of the best teaching I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I've got a ton of college of education. Best teaching were from those firearms instructors that I had in Quantico. Absolute best.
So what makes you dislike guns so much?
I don't think they're necessary. I think a lot of reasons.
Well,
one,
you wish they weren't necessary.
Well, one, you're far more likely, you put a gun in the house, you're far more likely to shoot yourself than you are a bad guy.
Sure.
You're far more likely to have an accident around your kids. Your kids are far more likely to have an accident. You're exponentially more likely to kill yourself with that gun than you are to protect yourself with that gun. To me, that's unnecessary.
Yeah, but if you're a law enforcement officer, I think those numbers drastically change.
No. Cops shoot each other in the off. Cops shoot each other. Cops shoot. Cops' kids get their guns.
Yes, but cops get their guns and kill themselves with it. But
yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
so
but for the most part, cops tend to have a little bit more, a safe, a locker.
I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying those statistics still apply to cops like they do to other people. They still kill themselves with guns. That's
the only higher rate is suicide.
Exactly.
But everything else is not higher than the average, the standard deviation of everyday people.
Yeah, I know, but the suicide.
Yeah, the suicide is it's accessible. It's accessible. And
so what I'm saying is, so that's why, because they don't necessarily, and not only that, but the studies have been done would say the best way to protect your house is with a large dog, your dog.
Yeah,
Frankie, my dog.
Yeah,
a full-size Rhodesian Ridgeback.
Yeah.
The goal is to not let the bad guy in your house, not to protect yourself once he's already up on you. So I'd rather have a big dog. Statistically,
I'd rather have a big dog in my gun.
Either.
Well, I had Frankie forever. He protected my house while I was gone. When Frankie died, I wasn't going to replace him or her.
Yeah, but you were so scared of Gustav when...
Oh, I'm sorry. I like my dogs.
Oh.
I like your dogs. Your dogs are your dogs. I like my dog.
My dog loves you, though.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, but Gustav has... I'll fuck you up looking as I was.
I like my dog. I'm like, you're talking about my dog.
Is that dog?
No.
Is that dog wagging his tail? Because dinner just got here, or I want to say hi.
It could go down with somebody else's dog. I hate when people say, "Oh, my dog's so nice." No, I don't know your dog.
But my dog knows you.
Yes.
So when we left for LA this Saturday morning.
Yeah.
We're speaking of guns. We're driving, and I'm getting to a point. I'm really getting to a point in my life where I'm like, if I can't go Jet Suite X and parachute over the target and land in a suit and then get zipped up on a aircraft carrier line,
you don't want to go.
I don't want to go.
I don't want to go.
And so anyways, I go. I rent a car. I get everything ready,
which was a horrible car, by the way.
And it broke down on the way. It's all right. Enterprise. It took care of me today. I bitched, managed
because your car died 20 feet from an Enterprise rental car.
Luckily,
if you were coming down the hill, luckily done.
If I was in Death Valley, I'd be dead.
Exactly. Dead, son.
The buzzard's flying over.
Exactly.
So, but I'm 10 minutes from the house. Like we leave we're always running late, and then the missus is like, I got to go to work. I got to go have a 7 a.m. workout with the trainer. I'm like, can you just cancel? No. Okay. I'm not going to argue. Go do your thing. Get home. I'll just take a shower when we get to the hotel. I'm like, just take a shower now. Like, let's get this done. And no, we leave. And then I'm leaving. Like, I haven't eaten. I'm starving. I drive. I go to McDonald's. I get an Egg McMuffin. Get a coffee. Hit this freeway. We're driving 10 minutes in. I'm like, I forgot my fucking gun. I'm going to LA with no gun.
Seriously?
Seriously.
That crossed your mind?
With my Rolex on. I'm like, I'm wearing...
Mind you, we're going to Pasadena where there's a lot of rich people who have Rolex.
That's the mindset. That's why we are where we are in the country.
And where did I break down?
Yeah, Victorville.
And the Victor villain could have got me.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He did.
You're talking about, it's San Bernardino.
I walked in that Enterprise. I walked in that Enterprise rental. It was like a scene out of Breaking Bad.
It looked like what was the sure you got a pretty mouth?
Yeah.
What movie was that? Sure. Deliverance.
Yeah.
Straight out of yeah. No, I understand, but it never crossed my mind. I carried my gun so little.
I think there was times we'd go on calls and be like, "Do you have a gun?" You're like, "Oh, I forgot it."
I didn't forget it. I intentionally left it. I was a negotiator, Ash.
So, going to forgetting your gun, I had the squad leader while we were deployed. Every time we went outside the wire, we would have to stop at the gate. Oh, we got to go back to the talk. What do we need to go back to the talk for?
Forgot his gun.
I will neither confirm nor deny whether this is male or female, but I will tell
his
you.
M4 gun? Their M4?
M4.
Not a pistol.
Sometimes pistol, sometimes M4. But literally, we're going outside the wire in Baghdad. And we're patrolling Route Irish, the worst routes in Iraq. And this individual forgets their weapon every time.
90% of FBI work is in the office. I don't need my Glock to type ECs and 302s.
No, but going outside the wire in a war zone?
Well, that's
You
different.
You need your gun. I'm just saying, you need your gun.
That's different.
I remember you always carried on your ankle, though.
Yes, I carried my ankle for 15, 20 years. Full size 40 on my ankle.
Crazy.
Period. I got big ankles.
Yes, you do.
Full size 40 on my ankles.
You know what they say about big ankles?
Yes.
Big ankle holsters.
Yeah, big ankle holster. And that's right. And they stopped making the ankle holster for the gun that size. But yeah, I never liked them. And I never felt unsafe without one. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I feel more safe. It is, and all of these we talk about, OJ and all this stuff, it is more dangerous for me as a black man in America to be pulled over, even if I am a law enforcement officer, with a gun than without one. We've seen enough videos, we've seen enough evidence to show that even saying, no, I'm a law enforcement officer, I'm good, doesn't necessarily save you.
Yeah.
Even saying I am permitted to carry this weapon doesn't necessarily save you. All those things, they do not necessarily apply. It's an unsafe environment.
Have you ever had a situation where you're like, damn, I wish I had my gun with me right now?
Outside of the FBI?
At any time. Yeah,
No.
As an FBI agent.
No.
Like off duty, like some shady character gets in the restaurant and you're like, I wish I had my gun with me.
No. When a shady character comes in the restaurant, I exit the restaurant. The best way to not get shot is to not be where people are shooting. I got no problem leaving.
What if you're with your kids, though? You're at the Applebee's, the food just got there, and the dude walks in, middle of summer, jacket, jihadi beard.
Not even jacket or
Get
jihadi
your
beard.
shit and get out. What, $50 worth of fucking Applebee's French fries?
What if it's
No,
just
fine.
What if it's just a crazy white dude that just walks in and then all of a sudden does it?
I have so many times gone someplace and looked at somebody and be like, nope, right out. And then we're talking, at this point, you're talking $20 worth of food.
I have walked in and said, oh, this shit could be going down.
I walked in and, nope, not today, son. Listen, I'm not going down for some shit I see coming. You know what I'm saying? Some shit that's right in front of me, some shady shit right in front of me. I've left many a times. Have no idea what happened after I left. It's much easier.
People
no one
eat your
ever
food.
gets shot that is not there when people are shooting.
The night we were all in, we all met for drinks for your birthday. Happy belated, by the way.
That's right.
In Pasadena, in the Hilton lobby.
That's right.
There was a dude. I don't know how far Marina Del Rey is from Pasadena. Probably an hour's drive. Other side of the LA Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Some crazy dude, AR-15 on the roof of his apartment, shooting people, shooting at cops, and some dude on the balcony next to him, filming him shooting at people and cops. And I thought to myself, can you imagine, like, if that was me? I'd be like, oh, well, hold on just a moment here. Well, bye, done.
Are you sure you would have gotten away with that?
110%. He's shooting people and cops.
Was he shooting at you?
Maybe
but
maybe not California.
In California.
In California.
Had you been there, had you pulled your weapon and got
I
involved,
would 100 have shot that guy. 110%.
what do you think would have happened to you at the end?
I
have
think
been
the cops
persecuted.
would have. I think the cops would have come up and said, "What did you see?" I said, "He's shooting at you guys." I shot his ass. Deadly force. Lawyer. And then I'll go from there.
I wouldn't even have said that. I would have just said lawyer immediately.
And now you're relying on me to vouch for you as a good guy.
I listen. I know we're not. I know it's not 2020 anymore. And it's like I get it. California is crazy in some things, but they still have. I mean,
100%
established case law.
So it doesn't have to be California. In Nevada, where you're a cop, right? And we can take this to any situation. If someone comes up and is not being threatened and in that same situation shoots another guy, What's happening with them here in Las Vegas?
But that depends because
It depends.
No, the same situation.
The same situation.
Wait, so I'm at home and my neighbor is shooting out at cops that are taking cover behind a car?
You're not at home. You're in a hotel. And the guy in the next building over across from you is shooting down at cars. And you take yourself out, but bing, right there. What happens to you in Las Vegas?
First of all, I don't think you could. It's unrealistic. The video I saw was like, imagine the neighbor's balcony and this dude's out on his balcony shooting down. So he could have walked out his window or on his balcony, taken his firearm and capped the guy one time and ended what is potentially a mass violence situation.
So what happens to you here in Las Vegas?
So if I'm in an apartment and my neighbor is raining down gunfire on people or just shooting a gun down at any random people on the streets and I shoot and kill him, I think the cops are probably going to have a little celebration at the end of the night. I mean, bravo for you. You're the hero of the day. I mean, we've had this happen here before where people have shot and killed people for far less.
Well, so let's go back to where you and I, years and years ago, here in Las Vegas, when we had the shootings at CC's Pizza.
Yes.
Remember the guy that comes in behind them in Walmart?
Yes.
And is going out and he's taken out.
Yes.
100 times we've seen that video. 100 times we say, man, I wish he'd mind his own business. He would be here with us today if he had called 911 and been a good witness. Week 1, day 1, FBI, you're in there and it's scenario. You're in a bank. They put you in there. You're in your simulator. Guy 2 in front of you pulls one on the teller. And they're waiting for you to pull your gun in the simulator and take him out. And what happens every time?
The guy behind you shoots you.
Yes.
Yes.
Week 1, day 1, they teach you to be a good witness.
Yes.
Are you in that situation? I am going to be a good witness.
Listen, if I'm in a public place and someone's robbing the store, I'm leaning towards being a good witness. But if I'm in first of all, if I'm in a position where somebody is, if someone walks in to rob a bank, what's the motive? Money.
The motive is absolutely none of my business.
But still, what if he starts shooting people? I know the FBI probably gave you a scenario where now he's executing people and you're a law enforcement officer.
Well, that's different.
And you wrote a blank check to the people.
Yeah.
And if the guy behind you is a hold-off man, sucks to be you, Jay, but you wrote the blank check today.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay, so
and that's understandable.
I still, even as a retired cop, still would like to think I still write it's like I'm driving down the road and I see a cop on the side of the road. I always think to myself, like I'm doing 90 on the freeway in SoCal. I drive past a highway patrolman. He's got someone pulled over. And Jody's like, you better slow down. He might pull you over. I'm like, yeah, I might be in the club. I don't know if he'd write me a ticket. Well, what if he did? And she goes, what if he did write you a ticket? I go, all right, cool. I'll press hard, 5 copies. I get it. I go, hey, let me ask you a crazy question. If you're on the side of the road getting your ass kicked,
do you want me to stop? Yeah.
Am I still in the club?
You're then, brother.
I guarantee all of these other idiots will be pulling their phones out to film me for their TikTok. But I'm going to jump in and I'm going to help because that's just how I'm wired. Yeah. So, and if I'm
different.
But if I'm in an apartment, to answer your question, if I'm in an apartment in Clark County, Nevada, and some idiot neighbor pulls his AK out and is raining hellfire down on, I don't care who's down there. If there's no one down there, I don't know. All I know is, could people be dying? He was actively shooting at people and police officers. I think if you shoot and kill that guy, the cops are going to come up and go, hey, we're going to have to ask you some questions. You want to call your lawyer? They probably will prompt you.
There's probably a cop that's been on the force for 3 months and thinks you might be the shooter.
That's fine.
So we'll be taking care of you too.
I'll shoot that dude and then I'll put my gun down and the cops can come up and detain me. I know the situation and what's going to happen. If I shoot, I'm fully aware that if I have to pull my gun and use deadly force as a now civilian, I'm more than willing to call my wife, open the safe, get the cash out, call my buddy who's the defense attorney, and I'll just pay him the money, and we'll just go from there.
Now, and I think of that same scenario all the time on the side of the road. Every time I see a cop on the side of the road pull somebody over, the first thing that comes to mind is that cop okay?
Yeah.
I am 100% every time ready and willing to pull over, jump out, and get in the fray at that point. But that's different.
And that's why I would never, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But going back to the scenario, like yeah, the cops are gonna, of course, be like, "Hey, good job" or whatever, and they're gonna do their due diligence. But then it comes down to the DA's office. The DA is gonna look at the case. They're gonna say, "Are we gonna pursue charges?"
Yeah, it's
Likelihood they they could, but in
It depends on the
the
climate at the time. The climate at the time in the city determines that.
That I will agree with that, but also at the same time, you're looking at, was the person justified in stopping that threat? The person that has the AK, he's shooting at innocent civilians, police officers, whoever, and you stop the threat. Having a CCW, like, that's...
Once you get yourself that deep into the system, you're screwed, man. Once you get yourself to the point where you are relying upon the climate, the DA, the verbiage to save you from going down, you put yourself in a situation where you're going down.
But I take that risk every day, being an armed.
Yeah, but that's at work. That's at work.
No, not just at work. Like when I carry.
You're working.
No, I don't have to be working.
Yeah, that's okay. To carry, you don't have to be working.
Yeah.
In that situation, if you're worried about the DA, how they're going to feel, all that other stuff, that's how people go to jail.
No. That's not what I'm saying. Is that you worry about that? What I'm saying though is that. That's the other side of the coin, is that, the cops may cheer you on, hey, great job, thanks for stopping him, doing all this stuff. But you also have that other aspect that you have to not necessarily worry about, but know that, hey, this is a potential repercussion that you're going to face. And going into having a CCW, like, you should already know that those are potential repercussions that you're going to have to face at some point if you're carrying a gun.
But even I leave here tonight and I drive down the road on my way home and I see a highway patrolman on the side of the road getting their ass kicked.
That's the fight I'm getting in 24/7.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But listen,
100%.
I pull over. The troop, let's say, worst case scenario, trooper is unconscious on the side of the road, and the dude is pulling their gun, duty weapon out of the holster, and I shoot and kill the guy. It's still a homicide. It's still a killing of a human being by another human. Now, I know that they're going to come out. I know I'm going to throw my gun down, put my hands in the air when the highway patrolman, because they don't know what the hell is when the backup gets there. They don't know who I am. And I'm going to get thrown in handcuffs. I know this is going to happen. Yeah. I know I'm going to get stuffed in the back of a trooper car. I know that, and then finally, as they start
to that's worth it, though.
That's worth it to me. Different. But here's the thing: if I walk out on the balcony and my drunken neighbor is shooting off his AK off into the air, I'm not going to blast the guy. But if I see a guy's actively shooting down at people, fuck you, and screaming and yelling, like I watched on this video, I'm not going to film it. I'm going to do what I got to do to protect my fellow people. Those are citizens. Those are my friends, my family. So every situation is very unique. Now, if I'm in a hotel here and 1,000 yards over there, I see you guys shooting. There's nothing I can do unless I have a 50 caliber, and I don't. I have my little 9mm SIG. I'm not. No. But if I'm in a moment where I see, like, hey, if you can engage,
there's something you can do.
Yeah. My biggest thing is, look, pull your gun out to go shoot a bad guy, and the cop walking around the corner is going to shoot you.
That's what I was just saying.
Yeah, that's always in the back of my head. And I think anyone who carries a firearm for a living and not professionally, but just like, look, I do have a CCW, I do carry a gun to protect myself. That is something they have to think about is,
right.
When the cop rounds that corner walking in to get a Starbucks coffee and some dude had walked in 10 seconds before and you see him and he's about to open fire on the crowd and you shoot him and then you turn around, that cop's going to shoot you. That's what.
Period.
So you have to have that situational awareness. But again, like for me, whenever I'm out, I'm always head on a swivel. I'm always thinking okay, just because I have the gun doesn't mean I'm going to use the gun. Just because the guy walks and commits a robbery doesn't mean, I'm going to shoot the guy. But what if the guy walks into the little cafe where I do my work some days over by my house where my son works? He just starts shooting people. Sorry, you got to go, bro. And if I get taken out in the process, well, hey man, bury me, have a little tequila in honor of me, and put my name on a wall somewhere. I don't know.
I'm not disagreeing with you that there are situations where it's acceptable. A cop being jumped on the side of the road, absolutely.
Yeah.
But random stuff, it is too possible that you are going to get hit or get shot yourself or some type of repercussion or retaliation or something. You don't want to get into the mix. You know what I'm saying? For me, there are enough ways for me, somebody like me, to get popped. I'm not going to jump into ways that weren't going to originally result in me getting popped and get popped. I don't know. That's how I feel.
Hour and a half. It's a good episode.
That's a long ways, brother. Thank you for the drinks. I left your El Tesoro untouched.
Well, no. So El Tesoro is the number 2 from the one you've been drinking. No, it's B. Nope, that's A. B.
These are the only 2 I drink, A and D.
There you go. Yeah, you're an El Tesoro fan.
No, it was B. No, this was the Tesoro right there.
No, that was the...
No. A and D were the ones that I liked. No, yeah, it's B. B or C, whatever. The 2 in the middle were the ones I didn't like.
Right, but you just pointed out B that you've been drinking.
No, I drink these 2. These 2 right here.
Oh, I see. Okay. He moved them.
Yeah, I moved them. The only 2 I drank. Those 2 in the middle, I didn't like. They originally said I didn't like.
So Cimarron and El Tequiléno.
Absolutely. Cimarron, I had the other night. It was awesome.
Shout out to Cimarron.
El Tec, I have often, and it's off.
This is it, folks, right here. Cimarron Blanco, full 1 liter.
The good stuff.
It's good stuff. You do not have to spend a lot of money to drink quality tequila.
And this El Tec I bought was $22.
Yeah, and that's the mixto, and it's just fine. Additive free.
Yep.
71% blue Weber agave. The rest of it's cane sugar. And then the step up from that is just a straight up the reposado. They're just straight reposado is 100% blue Weber agave. If you like reposados, or try the
platinum.
Try the platinum.
The platinum.
Yeah, if you like
that was $49.
Yep.
For the platinum. But I was like, I like the mixto.
Not worth it.
The mixto that's what we have when we go to Chayo, right?
Yeah,
Where they have Chayo.
I love it. Yeah,
I love it.
Absolutely
love it.
All right. All right.
Follow us on Instagram at tactical_tequila_podcast. Also YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music as well. We also have a new merch site. Check us out on the link tree under tactical_tequila_podcast.
Peace out, everyone.